Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. Before we get kicked off here, I just want to make sure everyone can hear me. So just quick mic check going on here. If you could just let me know in the chat if you're able to hear me and if you're able to see the presentation screen right now. Awesome. Thanks so much, Lauren, for confirming. All right, so I see a couple people still trickling in here, so we'll just give it one more minute before we kick things off. Okay, so let's kick things off here. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining today. My name is James Hammond, and I am part of the AutoVu Inside Sales team here at Genetech. So before we get started here, I'll just go over the itinerary quickly for today. So we'll be starting off with a very brief PowerPoint presentation, and we'll follow up that presentation with a quick tour of the AutoVu software within Security Desk. And then I've allocated about 15 to 20 minutes or so at the end for some Q&A. So really the topic of discussion for today is going to be, why is license plate recognition important for you? So, here within this presentation, we're talking to our channel partners, with our resellers. So you may already be working with us on our video management system or with our access control system. So, for you, what is the interest in license plate recognition? Well, we do find that in traditional security systems, it can be confined to the building. Everyone has video on premise, locks on their doors. But what do we have out at the perimeter? So LPR is very interesting in the sense that it provides live real-time information to our operators. Obviously not all risks are going to begin or even ever arrive within a typical security system. When events occur on your site before someone checks in, you're going to have difficulties determining who was there. We'll take a corporate campus, for example. Someone drives on site who's not supposed to be there. With a license plate recognition system, we can create an alert to warn operators before these risks end up at the door. And even on the flip side of that, LPR can be used to facilitate access to those who are proved to be on that site. So it really can work both ways. From preventing threats and also facilitating access to the site. So knowing how people are using your facility really is a challenge, and operational decisions can be difficult to make when you don't know when people are using your facilities frequently and what their behavior is like. So how are we addressing these challenges? License plate reading technology extends the reach of your security system beyond the doors of your building, so you know who is on site as soon as they arrive. License plate data and vehicle metadata not only provide new information on their own, but they also give meaningful reference points to existing video and other sensors. So turning these data points into actionable information enables your operators to understand events and take action faster. Knowing more about who's at your facility has benefits beyond security. So, we're providing key reference points as to who's in your lots, when they're there, and how long they stay. So, that can give you tons and tons of information and tons of data that helps you make more informed decisions moving forward. So what is automatic license plate recognition? So really, it begins with a camera actively looking for license plates within its field of view. And then when a license plate is detected, we start the process of mapping that out within the image. So software will then verify against various density and grammar rules to determine whether this is indeed a valid license plate. In some cases, we see things where what appears to be a license plate may turn out to be a phone number on a mud flap or a business name printed on the side of a commercial vehicle. So that we'd consider these to be false positives. But once we go through all these rules and determining that we do in fact have a license plate, we apply optical character recognition in order to decipher and translate those characters in the image into text metadata. So reading license plates is a challenge as plates really, they differ from province to province, state to state, and country to country. So reading plates is actually a really difficult thing. Grammar in license plates are the rules in the background that we apply in order to properly read these plates. So certain areas might always have the first character be a number while others use a letter. So knowing and applying grammar rules can help weed out OCR equivalents. So for example, a 0 and a D can appear similar, but if we know that the first value should be a number, we can help guide the software to the correct conclusion. Looking at fonts, knowing the correct regional font helps us to eliminate confusion between a 1 and a 7. And then special characters and the background. So, if you shine a light at a Florida plate, the orange in the middle can appear as a 0. So using an LPR software context, we can help to either include or exclude elements from a license plate's background. So here what I'll show you is really just going to be a quick demonstration of the workflow that we just talked about in terms of reading a license plate. Basically, the dual lens camera. As you can see, we have LPR cameras mounted over the street here as a vehicle passes by, and the dual lens camera is going to return to us 3 results. Initially, we're going to get a black and white image of the license plate from the LPR sensor. We're going to get a color context image of the background from the context sensor. And then we're going to get our read metadata, which is our interpretation of the characters on the license plate. So when we talk about LPR for performance, the common question we get is, what is your read rate? So this is a really common misconception in LPR, as performance is about much more than read rate. So to measure LPR performance, there are 2 key components. The capture rate. So the capture rate is the measurement of how many license plates were captured. So for example, if 100 cars drive by and 100 license plates are read, then we have a 100% capture rate. And the next thing is going to be our read rate. So the read rate is the measurement of how well we interpret the characters on the license plate we captured. So once we read the plate, we have the ability to compare this to various lists. Are these vehicles, are we expecting to see these vehicles? Are these vehicles we don't want them to see? And then we can take this information and react accordingly. If this is a match against our previous employees list, for example, we can tell Security Center to point a PTZ camera to a preset and get a better view of the vehicle. A really interesting example of one of our customers who's using LPR tied in with their video management system is going to be one of our casino customers. So basically, when they have VIP clientele that drive into their location, a message is output to their hospitality team, and they greet their VIPs accordingly. So as soon as that VIP's license plate gets read, an alert's created in Security Center, and their hospitality team is able to coordinate to make sure that that guest is greeted. And then lastly, our reporting. So I'll show this in our tour of the software later on, but essentially, with reporting, we're going to be able to come back later on to all this data and do some deeper investigation. So let's talk a bit now about some of the hardware that's involved here. So what you're seeing now is our Sharp V camera. We call it Sharp V as it's the 5th generation of LPR hardware that has been manufactured by Genetec. So if you were familiar with our previous Sharp 3 camera, the big change here is that we have simplified specification and deployment. Sorry, let me just jump back real quick here. So prior to Sharp V, our cameras had fixed lenses, which meant that you needed to measure and order your camera according to a design. Now, what's really nice with these LPR cameras is we have, sorry, one moment. So now with this varifocal camera, customers can benefit from increased flexibility. So with the Sharp V, rather than having to specify a lot of other information, right now, as it stands, we basically have three flavors or three different preferences to choose from. So initially, choosing from the color, black or white, and then our lensing comes in 2 flavors. So our standard range lensing, which covers anywhere from 9 to 60 feet, and then our long range, which covers from 60 to 115 feet. And then lastly, the illuminator. So Genetec will provide a recommended illuminator based on the state, the province, or the country. As we saw earlier, the plate characteristics help determine the appropriate amount of light to shine on the plate for optimal performance. So the camera has 2 dedicated sensors, one for LPR only, which is our black and white sensor, and the other one is for the color context image. So basically, the camera has built-in illumination and can perform even in the absence of any external light source. Each sensor can be separately zoomed and focused per the set screws on the bottom of the unit. And the camera is also PoE plus. So it requires just like a single Cat5 or Cat6 cable. It also includes an I/O switch, which can be used for a variety of settings. Most commonly the one we see is used to output a signal to open up a gate, or we can even input a signal to do triggered reading from a ground loop. So next, let's talk a little bit about free flow. Free flow is AutoVu's LPR occupancy and parking platform. So using license plate recognition cameras, we read plates in and out in an area that we've designated as a parking zone or a zone. So these cameras are covering each entry and exit point, provide a closed geofence loop, so we can see on the side. Free flow displays real-time occupancy count for each lot as well as the active violator count. With free flow, we also have the ability to push occupancy stats to digital signage to help guide parkers to the appropriate zone with available parking. So obviously this improves customer satisfaction while obviously reducing traffic as well, as cars can just proceed directly to the appropriate area. If we take this parking garage, for example, you can see it's set up with a single camera at an entrance and exit, and we can have a single count for the entire garage. With that setup, you could tell the number of vehicles and violators in the garage, but it would not show you which floor they pertain to. Or we could put additional cameras on the entry and exit ramps to each individual floor, And then that would give us a representation like you're seeing up here on the screen, where we're seeing occupancy counts for each of those individual floors, again, which we can all push out to digital signage. So with free flow, basically we can use it in either a paid or unpaid setting. So we'll just look briefly here at the overview of a typical parking session. So it begins when the plate is read by an entry camera, at which point we start a timer on a configurable convenience time. So this is basically a buffer that you can set, giving the parker time to find a spot and either pay or check in so that their plate is on a known list. And after the end of the paid time, a configurable grace period can be entered, which leaves a buffer for parkers to drive out of the facility. So basically, any license plate still within the zone at the end of the grace period will move to a violation state. Another amazing feature using license plate recognition is going to be license plate as a credential. So you can see license plate as a credential is really an expansion over the traditional, see the right plate, open a gate, hot list matching models. So instead, using license plates as a credential becomes a logical extension of your access control system, whereby the license plate is a credential or badge, if you will, and the Sharp V camera can act as a reader. So in terms of reporting and management, there's a depth of control and configuration of user groups and scheduled access and so on. So in this scenario, the Sharp V camera behaves as an access control reader, scanning license plates, associating the credential to a cardholder profile for the Synergist Cloud Link to grant or deny access based on the access rule and schedule at the gate. So all access control events are buffered to Security Center for monitoring and reporting purposes, and then connectivity from Security Center to the Synergist Cloud Lake appliance to the AutoVu Sharp V camera is connected over IP. So building an intelligent security system, the vision, high resolution cameras with a large field of view ensure more vehicle plates that come through your facility. Additional analytics like the virtual loop help you capture even vehicles that can't normally be read, like those with damaged or temporary plates, or vehicles whose plates are obstructed by racks, for example. By analyzing video at the edge, you need only send license plate reads to your system, keeping the load on your network and servers low. So this also means you can continue to read plates even if your server goes down. So together with the independence of the Synergist Cloud Link, this means your license plate enabled access control will continue to function even if your server goes offline. We can go beyond simply taking action when a wanted vehicle is identified thanks to advanced vehicle analytics. So we can configure specific conditions to trigger different actions. For example, send a message to your facilities manager when an unknown vehicle is detected, but raise an alarm if an unknown vehicle and the vehicle is moving over 30 miles an hour. So this lets you change your system's reaction with significant granularity. And then obviously the simplicity. The Sharp V comprises 2 camera sensors, a built-in processor, and illumination, so you don't need any external parts. You can simply install the camera and read. With varifocal lenses and PoE Plus connectivity, you can provide adaptability to changing situations when installing, meaning it's easier to stock replacement devices. So we'll take a look now at some of the advantages of actionable data. So we can automate your actions based on whether a vehicle is known or unknown and whether they should be on premise. We can define a variety of hot lists so you can tailor your actions depending on who is arriving at your facility. You can pull up associated video, access control events or alarms when looking for certain vehicles, narrow persons of interest by looking for who was in your lot at the time an incident occurred, and you can plan out day-to-day operational tasks or major infrastructure changes based on when people use your lot. So finding out how long visitors stay on site and whether your lots are full or have space to spare. So next, we're going to talk about our machine learning capabilities, or MLC. Um, you know, on our older platform, we had essentially reached the performance limit based on our traditional engine. So in order to continue to improve, we had to rethink and redesign our engine. So Genetec built a machine learning LPR algorithm from the ground up, using all in-house images from our cameras, and basically trained it. This has really led to an increase in our capture rate, our read rate, and has provided the foundation to increase the depth of analytics available from the camera. So this amazing piece is the software, is designed to run on the cameras themselves, which offers increased performance with no additional server impact. So with this MLC, what does that performance increase look like? So obviously this is, generally what our end users and what our customers care more about. So with our traditional model, our capture rate was running at about 93.9%. But when we move over to the new MLC that we're running now, we see our capture rate has moved up to 98.6%. We then saw a roughly 10% gain in our perfect read rate. We saw an increase of just under 7% for our fuzzy matching rate. And then obviously the big decrease here is in false positives, which is down to now just 0.1%. So that's really incredible. This represents a 93% decrease in false positives. In terms of day-to-day usability, false positives really can create quite a few headaches for an operator. For example, having a phone number on the mud flap of a truck trigger an event obviously is not ideal. It can create a lot of used up resources trying to investigate what happened for something that's a non-issue. So having this incredible decrease in the false positives is really tremendous for us. So that's going to be it for the PowerPoint presentation. If you give me a moment here, I'm just going to switch everything over and we'll start the security desk software tour. Okay, so basically for the purpose of the demo, I'm going to be using a simulator here. So this is not live data by any means, but this is basically what this is going to show what these vehicle reads will look like coming into the system. And if you will, I'll take you through our greatest hits of our LPR reporting, and then I'll open it up to questions afterwards. So first and foremost, this interface should look somewhat familiar, but essentially what you're looking at right now is the security desk interface. So this is obviously a privileges-based system, so the tasks that you're going to see are going to be correlated to what you're licensed for. I have this really focused in on our LPR related tasks for the purpose of this demo. So jumping right in, the first task we're going to take a look at is going to be our monitoring task. So here I have some simulated cameras connected, and essentially as we have vehicles driving into this facility that we have set up here, we'll see in real time that we have read events occurring up on the right-hand side, top right-hand side of the screen. And what's really nice is with our free flow feature here on my tile on the left-hand bottom side, we're seeing that as these reads are coming through, I'm also getting a push in the occupancy of the parking lot. The monitoring task is really phenomenal. This is completely customizable in terms of our view here. So, our different tile patterns, obviously, what we're monitoring, where we're monitoring them, and so on. And the really nice feature of this too is actually we're going to have violators pop up live here through the monitoring task as vehicles are driving in and possibly not checking in and so on. And you'll be able to basically process these immediately from this screen here. So it's really, really, really fantastic. You're seeing we're getting some pop-ups now on my center screen here. We're also seeing down here too that I'm getting hot list hits popping up live on my screen here on my bottom right-hand side. So, anytime we match up against a list of a vehicle that's not supposed to be here or so on, these can be configured to pop up onto this monitoring tile. So from here, so this is really where we can take a look at basically all of our real-time events. Like I said, as reads are coming in, we can establish different event to actions based on those reads that are coming in, or we can see it in more of just a generalized overview as we do right here. But next, what I'll do is I'll move over to some of our reporting focused tasks. And the first one I'm going to start off with is going to be our reads task. The reads task is really as straightforward as it sounds. So we can use this reporting to go back and look at the LPR reads that have occurred on our system over a given period of time. So on my left-hand side here, I really have a ton of different slicers that we can use to break down the information we see in this report, starting up at the top with the time range. So we can customize to look into, obviously, the last few days, the last few weeks or months, whatever the case may be. We can customize it to look into that, and we can also customize it to look down and investigate into specific time ranges themselves. So, if you had something occur on your site and you wanted to look at reads from your site over a 2-hour period on a certain day, we can configure this report to pull that kind of information here. So I'll leave it set as 1 day for now. The next thing we're going to see below that is really the ability to choose all the various cameras that we have available in the system. So, do I want to focus this just on my entry lot camera? Do I want to focus this on my exit lot? Do I want to look at everything as a whole? We can configure the report entirely there. Following below that, we can look at reads that only generated hits if we're looking into comparing it to lists. In terms of investigation, a really nice feature, the ability to do obviously full and partial plate searches is really fantastic, and we can see if we had a read on a partial plate or something if that case ever arose. And then once we generate the actual report, you can see up in these top bars up here, I'm getting a lot of my read information from vehicle to vehicle. All of this can be essentially dragged down into my tiles down here to be reviewed in further information. So again, we're seeing those same reads that we would see come through the monitoring task now available through here. So our color context image, our black and white plate image, along with all the vehicle metadata that goes along with that. The other cool feature, perhaps less interesting to the fixed LPR world, but obviously you can enroll the cameras to be set up on a map, GPS, and that really brings together where all these reads are coming from. So, the example being like a corporate campus or a university that may have several entry points onto the facility. We can really dial this in to see which particular entry these reads are occurring at. With all of our reporting here, it's all printable and exportable through Excel, CSV, and PDF, which is fantastic. And then right from Security Desk itself, we actually have the ability to do some charting as well, straight from the task. So you can see here I have just an example set up of the amount of reads that have come through the system, and which particular cameras these reads are coming through. So next we'll jump over to our hits report. So the hits report you're going to see right off the bat is really similar to our reads report, but obviously we're going to add some additional slicers around parking infraction and some different investigative properties as well. So again, it's completely, again, very similar to our reads report, initially configured through a period of time. So again, I'll leave it set for the last day, and then beyond that, configured for your various entities. So again, we're gonna look at all of the fixed cameras that I have available through the system here. And then following below that, now we have some additional slicers into the various reasons that a car or a vehicle might be generating a hit. So for example, based on parking rules or based on information we're drawing from some of our lists. So like one of the popular ones being the NCIC list that's available that we're able to tie into. We can narrow down our search to really look at certain lists, or if we want to look everything in more of a broad spectrum. We can look at our accept reasons, as well as our action taken, whether or not some of these reads were accepted or rejected, and so on. Again, we can look at our hit types, do full and partial plate reads, and so on. And again, like our reads report, we have the ability to look at these spread out on a map. We can even click on these images through the map to get a more deeper dive, just a deeper dive into the actual hit itself. The next one we're going to take a look at is going to be our parking sessions task. This task itself is really fantastic in terms of having a real-time view of the vehicles that are currently in your lot, and obviously giving a real-time representation of which vehicles are and aren't in violation. So you can see here that I have various columns and rows set up here, indicating my session states and the reason for the session state. So, I can see I've completed here because the vehicle exited my lot, completed, vehicle session time exceeded, and so on. So it really gives great visibility on real time into the vehicles that are on the site. And then next we have our zone occupancy task. This really just gives us a great dive from an operational standpoint into decision making into the future. Looking at the usage of the various spaces at your facility. So we can see in my particular case with these demos, the numbers are quite low, but for example, if we saw frequently that one of these lots was constantly at an overflow state or was constantly at 100% from an operational standpoint, this would let us determine that perhaps we need to make some focus into having that become more available, making the space larger, or having more signage put in place to direct people to other available lots in order to facilitate customer satisfaction. So the interesting thing here is we looked at a few of our different reporting capabilities within Security Desk. And for users who are in the system working every day, they might want to customize a lot of this. They might find they're constantly running the same report and are looking to schedule it, or even wanting to share some of their own personal reports with other users in the system. Which is all fully able to be done. But the other really nice thing with all of these frequently run reports is we're able to set up these customized dashboards. So I have a dashboard set up here that's really focused around parking mainly. But essentially, this is where we can pull together all of these different reports we just looked at into a single space. So it's not super user involved at all times. If I said I wanted to run a report daily at 8 a.m. for all of my reads that occurred on the system from the previous day, rather than having to jump back into each one of those previous tasks in order to accomplish that, I could set it up the one time, I could put it on a schedule, and I could have the information basically all consolidated here within this particular dashboard. Um, so really, really cool feature. Again, and this is completely shareable with other users. So for example, you're expanding the operation and need to have more visibility on it. You can share it to additional users being brought on. If a user is heading away on vacation for a week and someone else needs to take over that particular task, again, this entire dashboard itself, as well as each of the individual tasks, can be shared amongst all the users in the system here. So really, really fantastic collaborative properties within the AutoVu software in Security Desk. So I wanted to keep things pretty brief here. So in terms of what I had to show you within Security Desk, I'll stop here, and what I'll do at this time is I'll open up the floor to questions. So again, before we dive in there, I'll just say thank you everyone so much for your time and your interest. And yeah, let's open up the floor for some questions. So no questions coming through yet, but I'll keep the line open here just in case any questions flow through, if you'd like me to elaborate on any of the points we discussed today. But while I still have you here before you guys drop off, obviously I want to say thank you so much, everyone, for your time and your interest. We really appreciate it, and I highly, highly encourage everyone to reach out to either myself or your local RSM. If you have any questions on AutoVu or anything like that at all, or reach out to the channel team. But yeah, again, I'll keep the line open here for a bit in case you want to put any questions through. All right, everyone, I see the no questions are coming through. So again, thank you everyone so much for your time and for your interest. And if you have any questions, please, I encourage you all to reach out to your local RSMs or your channel team that you're used to dealing with and ask away any questions. We'll be happy to help you guys. Thanks so much and have a great day.